Hello, everyone, and happy Wednesday to everyone. Welcome, folks, to Sports Center with Loro and Matt. And we got a lot to be talking about today, Matt. And Matt, how's it going? And looking forward to a great show today. And we got a lot of stuff to be talking about when it comes to the March Madness world, the NBA world, and more.
Yes, we do. Doing well. How are you, Loro?
Doing great. Let's start with March Madness. We got a lot to get off our chest here. I mean, talk about the Kansas Jayhawks being down 15 to North Carolina, and the Jayhawks came right back to win it. And here's the tale of two things here. It tells me that Kansas was the better team overall, but for North Carolina, they had the experience. They had some guys hurt, which kind of derailed their chances. But hey, what can you ask for in a first-year head coach with Hubert Davis? No one expected him to guide North Carolina to a national championship game appearance, but lost. But hey, it tells me something. I think that the Tar Heels have such a bright future with Hubert Davis as the head coach, and I think that the North Carolina Tar Heels basketball program is in great hands, but Kansas just was the better team. They played with energy. They played with tenacity. It kind of reminded me of when I saw their game against Miami when they were down 15 too.
Yeah, that was a great championship game. I thought the Jayhawks goose was cooked when they were down 15 points, but then they started that run at the start of the second half and overcame that deficit and held on to win. And just a great game overall. I watched the second half. I listened to a little bit in the radio in the car too as I was finishing up some errands. But it was just really good, and congratulations to the Jayhawks. And they were a 1 seed, and they lived up to the billing. And at the end of the day, who was in the Final Four? It was the blue blood teams: Kansas, North Carolina, Duke, Villanova. Despite all the upsets, they came through, and of course, North Carolina, an 8 seed, quite nearly became the lowest seed in the modern era to win the NCAA championship. Arizona was a 7 seed in 1997 when they won theirs. But yeah, I had in my bracket, I had North Carolina getting to the Sweet 16, beating Baylor. I had them beating Baylor, but I didn't have them going to the Final Four or let alone the championship game. And they quite nearly won it at the end. And North Carolina's in good hands with Hubert Davis as head coach.
They are. I didn't even have North Carolina going all the way. I had them losing in the first round to Marquette.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And that's what I had there, because I think that I was thinking that I was expecting gradual steps from North Carolina, but I was expecting Duke in Kansas for Mike Krzyzewski's last hurrah, but Duke lost to North Carolina in the Final Four, and I do think that when it comes to Duke, it's going to be a new era of the North Carolina and Duke rivalry. Hubert Davis and John Shire will be going head to head now. I'm going to miss Coach K. I think he's had a great career in the collegiate level, and I think he'll be missed at Duke. And I do think John Shire is going to be a great coach for Duke. I think he's going to do a great job, but I'm not going to exceed my expectations higher on Duke heading into the next college basketball season.
Yeah, well said.
So that's what I think there, and I think that if you look at it, I think that if you look at who I think the favorites are next year for the national championship, I could favor Kansas again, and my other favorite would be Kentucky or your Michigan State Spartans.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see who comes out on top next year. But yeah, I think it'll be a good season in college basketball again next year, and congratulations to the Jayhawks.
Bill Self was due for one because they haven't won since 2008, and I like Bill Self. I think he's done a great job at Kansas, and I'll tell you, I'm I don't like Kansas football, but I love Kansas basketball. I can give you that.
Yeah.
So, anyways, now let's talk a little bit about football here. I mean, talk about Stephon Diggs getting a contract extension with the Buffalo Bills, 4 years, $104 million, but he did get $70 million guaranteed on that extension. I knew it was coming. I mean, the reason why I think the Bills had to release Cole Beasley was they wanted to prioritize Stephon Diggs and Dawson Knox and Josh Allen all together.
Yeah. That's the Bills are going to be the team to beat, I think, this year. I think I still like the Rams, although it's tough to run the table twice. It really is in today's game. I think in any sport.
Don't forget about Brady coming back too. The Buccaneers could be making a huge run again.
Yeah, that's true. Yep, for sure. And there's, of course, outside the Bills, there's a lot of good teams in the AFC. So it's going to be a slugfest out there.
It is going to be a slugfest heading into next football season. I selfishly can't wait for football season already, but at the same time, I got to take it one day at a time and enjoy baseball. Just because the reason what I'm really saying is that this NFL offseason has been crazy, been insane, and I can't wait to see new faces with new places.
Yeah.
So if you look at the Bills here, you still think that they're the better team in the AFC East when they despite extending Stephon Diggs, they added Von Miller. This Bills team is going to be good. And a lot of people think that the Bills are an overrated team. They're not. They just have had unfortunate losses in the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, if it wasn't for the last 13 seconds of that game at Kansas City, they would have been going to the Super Bowl because they would have beaten Kansas City. I think they would have beaten Cincinnati at home. And we might be talking about the Bills as Super Bowl champs if that had happened.
Well, talk about that. I mean, I think my favorite offseason move so far is Russell Wilson switching from Seattle to Denver.
Yeah, that Denver they're just going to be, I think, really good. I'm slowly buying into the Denver Broncos as maybe the team to beat in the AFC West even. But we'll see. The Chiefs, the Raiders, and the Chargers have all loaded up this offseason too. So
some primetime games to be thinking about here when it comes to these division rivals in the AFC West. But anyways, the Eagles and the Saints, they've traded spots in the NFL draft. Who do you think got the better of the deal?
I don't know. I'm leaning maybe towards New Orleans. I just think that their front office, I have more trust in to use these picks properly on the right people as opposed to Philly. So I think it's more or less a wash, though.
It might be a wash, but do you think with that move, you think the Saints are looking for their quarterback of the future?
They just in
this draft class, or do you think they should wait for next year's draft class? Because this year's draft class, not really that great, but I could see at least 3 or 4 rookies starting at quarterback this year. Because it's not like the best draft class in years past.
Yeah, I personally think that they're going to out of all these quarterbacks, everyone keeps on saying, there's not really like a top prospect, a number one pick, but 1 or 2 of these guys are going to end up being starters in the NFL. And
are you talking about Kenny Pickett and Malik Willis?
Yeah. I mean, they could very well be. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with those guys, where they end up, and they could end up in a really good organization. Pittsburgh, I heard, is still on the market, perhaps, to get one of these guys. So they could end up in a good location, a good organization, and take off. And it's about having talent, but it's also about finding the right home for your abilities.
I'm not going to guarantee Mitchell Trubisky being the starting quarterback for the Steelers.
No, I think it's going to be an open competition.
It is, but I predict it's going to be a rookie quarterback that starts for the Steelers, whoever that may be.
Uh-huh.
because I'm not high on Trubisky, I'm not high on Mason Rudolph. I feel like that the Steelers might want to load up also at quarterback, but I would also like them to get an offensive lineman to kind of protect the young quarterback.
Yeah.
Because I think the AFC North is going to be a really good division, and I think that this draft coming up, I'm looking forward to making my mock draft with you, even though that this draft class is not that great with quarterbacks. I think it's more loaded with wide receivers and linemen and also defensive backs.
Yeah.
Also, what's your thoughts? The Jets, however, the Vikings, however, are keeping Patrick Peterson. And what's your thoughts on that? I meant the Vikings. That's what I meant.
Yeah. Yep. Good move. I think the Vikings they're in a spot to maybe even win the NFC North. So,
and why do you think that? I mean, I still think it's the Packers because it's Aaron Rodgers. As long as Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback for the Packers, I think the Packers are the favorites pretty much. I think the Vikings can challenge them. I mean, I like the talent around Cousins at wide receiver, but I also think that the Vikings are going to need to somehow find a way to move on from Kirk Cousins and get their own Kevin O'Connell's going to want his own quarterback eventually.
Yeah, I think the same thing where, if I had to bet money right now, I'd still put on the Packers. But yeah, I want to see how the last bit of free agency plays out, and as well as the draft. I think see that, and then we'll see in August. Who I want to pick is the division winner. But the Packers. The main thing is they've lost some pieces, and I don't know what the replacement is right now.
And they also don't have that much capital when it comes to spending. Their salary cap, they are still in a salary cap flux.
Yeah, that's right.
And they don't have a lot of money to spend here. But anyways, talk about my team. The New England Patriots made a trade with the Miami Dolphins to get Devontae Parker. And I think that the Dolphins, there was no room for Devontae Parker on the Dolphins when they got Tyreek Hill and Cedric Wilson. I think trading Parker was good for the Dolphins because they could really build their offense around Tua Tagovailoa and getting Tyreek Hill and Cedric Wilson and Jalen Waddle on that offense that Mike McDaniel's going to design and all that. I think that offense for the Dolphins is going to be more dynamic without Devontae Parker. And talk about the Patriots getting Devontae Parker and him being adding a number one receiver for my guy Mac Jones.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on Devontae Parker going to the New England Patriots?
Yeah, I think, it'll help him. He didn't really have a role anymore in Miami, it looked like. So, whether that's a testament to his ability or just the scheme they were using. But, New England, their MO for a while now has been they don't go for like big star playmakers. They
haven't gone for a big playmaker since Randy Moss.
Yeah. And, they had Rob Gronkowski, of course. He's great, but it makes sense to the Patriots. I'm a little bit surprised that they would trade in division or let him go in division, but especially to Belichick, you just kind of giving him another piece, for his team from a divisional rival. But we'll see. We'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, I think it's going to play out pretty good here. And, I think that even though that the Patriots got Devontae Parker, it doesn't mean that they're going to get another receiver in the draft. I still want Chris Olave and John Mechie to be a Patriot, but I feel like that the Patriots need to be creative on how they're going to use this because I also think N'Keal Harry is going to be gone.
Oh, okay.
Just because I think that he doesn't have a role. I heard Robert Kraft says he wants to jumpstart Jonnu Smith and Nelson Aguilar. And I think that Aguilar could be a good piece. I think Jonnu Smith and Nelson Aguilar didn't have a good first year at the Patriots. But speaking of which, do you put the Dolphins ahead of the Patriots for second place?
Yeah, I put Buffalo 1, and right now I put Miami 2.
And then New England will still have a winning record in your book, but they're probably going to be third.
Yeah, we'll see about the record. I don't. I'm not ready to call a record for anyone at this point. But
Yeah,
yeah,
and I think the Jets are still the Jets. I mean, I like
oh
Zach
yeah,
Wilson, but I think that what I think the Jets are going through is a gradual rebuild with Zach Wilson. It's not like that the ownership's impatient with Zach Wilson or Robert Saleh. The Jets are, to me, are still in a rebuild type of phase.
yeah.
So anyways, talk about your Detroit Lions when it comes to the number 2 pick or something like that. Do you think that the Lions could trade back? Do you think that you guys could get Aiden Hutchinson? Right now I have Aiden Hutchinson going to Detroit at 2 because I have Jacksonville going offensive line at 1.
Yeah, I think that they have a few options they can do. They could, if Hutchinson goes number 1, I think that opens up a lot of different options for them. I think if Hutchinson were to fall to them, they'll take Hutchinson.
Yeah, but if you talk about the Detroit Lions, I mean, they've had somewhat of a quiet off season, but you know that this is a rebuild for the Lions, and do you think that the Lions draft a quarterback in one of their first round picks this year, or do you think that the Detroit Lions are? Or do you think that the Detroit Lions are going to wait till next year's draft to kind of draft guys like Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud or amongst those lines?
I think they'll wait. Lions could take also Kyle Hamilton. He's a safety out of Notre Dame. Some people are saying they might go with that. So that's an option for them if Aiden Hutchinson. They could trade out of it, but
talk about Jeff Okudah. I mean, he was a highly touted prospect out of Ohio State, and has he turned out well? Not necessarily, though.
No, he's had injuries, and even when he's out there healthy, he doesn't look great. So
you think Jeff Okudah is kind of a bust?
At this point, it looks like it. Yeah.
I was thinking that when you drafted him, I was expecting he was going to be a shutdown corner, and he was going to be a guy that was going to be a big part of the Detroit Lions secondary, but he hasn't turned out well.
Yeah.
So that's what I think here, but do you still have medium expectations for the Detroit Lions heading into the 2022 season?
Yeah, I mean, they'll get probably 6 wins, somewhere around there. So they'll improve a little bit from last year, but they're still a very limited team.
They are a limited team, but I actually think that Dan Campbell's the right coach for the long run for the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, I think so too.
I have a lot of confidence in him. I think that it's not like the situation with Matt Patricia where the Lions would get blown out in games and they would blow big leads when they had Stafford. It's not like that. The Lions, they know what they're doing now with Campbell and Brad Holmes running the team, and Sheila Ford Hamp taking over as owner from her mom, Martha Ford. Sheila Ford Hamp, I think, is doing a great job.
Yeah.
So don't you think that Sheila Ford Hamp is better off running the team than her mom and dad are?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, I think that the Lions, you got to give them time. I just think that Dan Campbell's going to want his own quarterback, but I love the way he approaches the game of football and how he says something like, be ready to bite off your kneecap.
Yeah.
Isn't that do you think that personality helps the Lions?
Yeah, I think it does. I think guys want to play for a personality like that, and they'll be on Hard Knocks.
How do you feel about the Lions being on Hard Knocks? Are you excited to see Dan Campbell on microphone more often?
Oh yeah, for sure.
And see him kind of say to his players like, "Let's get ready to bite off your kneecap." Their kneecaps.
Yep.
I also can't wait for when my Patriots play your Lions this year so that you and I could talk about that game.
That's at New England, right?
Yeah, it's going to be in New England, but I think the Lions are probably going to get blown out.
Yeah.
But if I say that, it's basically Dan Campbell and the Lions are basically in every game but lose.
Yeah.
So Talk about one of the most notable heartbreaking losses by your Lions. I have to say one of my top heartbreaking loss by you guys last year was the 66-yard field goal by Justin Tucker against the Ravens.
Absolutely, yeah.
Wasn't that insanity right there?
That's classic Lions football.
It just tells me that they're a better coach team now than they were 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So, anyways, talk about the Saints. However, I don't know if we talked about this. They signed Jameis Winston. They signed Andy Dalton. None of these guys are going to be long-term quarterbacks for the Saints.
Yeah, it's crazy. What's weird too is, why isn't Baker Mayfield somewhere at this point? Like,
we got to keep talking about this because Baker Mayfield wanted out of Cleveland, but now that Deshaun Watson is now in Cleveland, you obviously think that Baker Mayfield's not going to be the starter.
Yeah, I think that he wanted to stay as the starting quarterback there, but I think that with Deshaun there, it's such a weird situation. I don't even know how to describe it. But you think that if there was interest in Baker, that Cleveland would have traded him somewhere already.
But look at teams now. Like, here's the thing. Here's the teams that still need quarterbacks: Pittsburgh, Carolina, and Seattle. But I'm not really high on Drew Lock, though.
Yeah.
So basically, here's kind of an early list for me. I'll tell you who's on the hot seat heading into this season. I can't think of any names that are on the hot seat because there's been so much drama, but we got to talk about this. Bruce Arians is retiring from coaching. He's transitioning to a front office role with the Tampa Bay Bucks, and Todd Bowles is now going to be the next head coach of the Tampa Bay Bucks, and he's now one of three minority head coaches in the National Football League now. So
I think there's four.
There's four of them, I beg your pardon. What are your thoughts on Bruce Arians transitioning from head coach to a front office role at Tampa and handing the head coaching role to Todd Bowles?
Yeah, Brady didn't want him as head coach anymore.
It had nothing to do with it, though. Let me be clear. It had no role in that.
I don't know. I'm not convinced about, I think that Brady was apparently told before he unretired that Bruce Arians would not be the coach heading into 2022. I think that Brady said, "Hey, look, I don't want to do another year with Bruce." I think he was upset.
Here's the thing with Bruce Arians. Bruce Arians' offense is no risk it, no brisket. It's all play action oriented.
Yeah.
That's kind of how Bruce Arians likes to run his offenses as a head coach. I could get Bruce Arians is a great offensive play caller, though.
Yeah, I think, I think Bruce Arians too. I don't think he's like a front office guy. I think he likes to be a coach. So they moved to the front office, for, they had their reasons, but I don't think he wanted to retire. So
no, he didn't want to retire. I still thought that he would be a great head coach or an offensive coordinator somewhere, but maybe he might change his mind if there's another vacant head coaching position that opens.
Yeah.
And if he gets interviewed for it, I could definitely see him being a head coach again somewhere.
Yeah.
Which I have no doubt in my mind that he would want to change his mind and get back out on the field. It's kind of the same narrative. Head coach of the Cardinals, retired, then returned to Tampa Bay, then retired again. Now does he want – and I'm kind of thinking, would he want to come back after 1 year?
Yeah, we'll see.
On the sidelines. Because I think Bruce Arians is a great coach, and he's a good whisperer of quarterbacks and all that. Because he is a quarterback whisperer.
Yeah.
But Todd Bowles, what I think his focus is now with the Bucs, he's going to continue calling the plays defensively. He's going to let Byron Leftwich and his offensive staff handle the offense.
Yeah, it's probably why Byron Leftwich didn't get the job. Was Brady was like, "I like you too much as my coordinator, and we have a good thing going here." And he probably wanted to work with Byron for another year.
Yeah, Byron Leftwich is a great offensive coordinator, and despite Bruce Arians retiring, I still favor Tampa Bay winning winning the whole NFC South and winning another championship.
Okay.
That's what I think, though. But let me tell you a little bit of my hot seat head coach list. I don't have that many just because I don't think an AFC coach is going to get fired. I think I could see at least 3 coaches being fired after the 2022 season.
Who are they?
I could see it being, if the Cowboys don't perform up to expectations, it would be Mike McCarthy. He's on my hot list. Cliff Kingsbury, if the Cardinals. Actually, I'm gonna put Cliff Kingsbury off the hot seat.
Okay.
Just because I think that he's done enough for me to convince that he's the right coach for the almost said St. Louis, Arizona Cardinals. I think he's the right coach for the Cardinals going forward, and I think that he and Kyler Murray have a good long built relationship. That's why I think that Cliff Kingsbury is going to stay in the long run for Arizona. To me, it's Mike McCarthy and Matt Rule.
Yeah.
The thing is, I expect the Panthers to get it right at quarterback, but I don't expect Carolina to make the playoffs. So I kind of expect Matt Rule to be fired at the end of the 2022 season, just because I think he'll draft Kenny Pickett, but I just think that he's probably going to get fired at the end of the season, just because I just don't think that he's built for the NFL.
Yeah.
And I think Matt Rule's a decent coach. He's great at rebuilding programs. But the thing is, David Tepper is impatient, and he wants to bring a winning football team to the Carolinas.
Yeah.
So what is your thoughts on Matt Rule and Mike McCarthy on my hot seat?
Yeah, I think, well, Matt Rule for sure. He's the guy on the hottest seat right now. McCarthy, Jerry Jones is a loyal guy usually to his head coaches. So to fire him, after 2 years would be a bit of break with his precedent.
Well, the Cowboys won the division, but they lost to the 49ers in a heartbreaking fashion.
Yeah, they could. I think, there's just some guys I'll be watching this year to see. I think Cliff Kingsbury is kind of in the hot seat.
Why do you think he's on the hot seat? The Cardinals just extended him and Steve Keim until 2027.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, then no, he's not on the hot seat. Yeah.
The Cardinals just gave him a big time contract extension.
Yeah. Some coaches I want to, note here. One is Kevin Stefanski. I don't know. Well, the Haslams are kind of mercurial owners, and they fired guys quickly before. And if the Browns aren't in, if their season's a mess because of Baker Mayfield, Deshaun Watson, blah, 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 I could see them moving off Kevin Stefanski. Although Deshaun Watson loves Stefanski, but I could still see the Haslams
What were you saying about? Were you saying that Deshaun Watson loves Kevin Stefanski?
I heard that was that's why he wanted to go to Cleveland. He met with the coaching staff and he loved them.
Yeah, I don't think Kevin Stefanski's going to get fired, though. None of this is his fault. I mean, Kevin Stefanski's a great offensive mind. His offense for Cleveland was really good. It's run oriented and pass oriented, but it's a run first type of offense that he implements.
Yeah, I just feel like the Haslams have fired people, in the past, very quickly. There's a bit of a mess at quarterback still. It's just the whole thing with Baker is still weird. And Deshaun Watson, we don't know how that's going to play out. He still has a lot of civil lawsuits against him. He might get suspended. So there could be a lot of disorder. There could be a lot of mess there. So I'm not saying he's on the hot seat, but I could see him getting fired if things go sour in Cleveland this year.
I don't see that, but no, you said knowing the Haslams, they are very quick on firing head coaches. Is that why you think that the Haslams are not patient at times?
Yeah, I think they're very mercurial owners. They're
who's worse, Jimmy or D?
Yeah, I don't know. I would also say another coach to look out for is Matt LaFleur. I know he has 3 NFC North championships, 3 playoff berths, but if they lose in the first round again, that's caused. I mean, I don't know. Like, you have Rodgers locked in there. Would it be time to move off him to bring in somebody who can get him out of the first round of the playoffs? So I would also say, let's see,
Not,
somebody
I wouldn't
else.
put Matt LaFleur on there. I think Matt LaFleur is the right coach for the Packers. I think that Murphy and Gutekunst have a future with have a future with LaFleur.
Here's something to keep your eye on too. I'm not saying he's on the hot seat, but
You're not saying Matt LaFleur is on the hot seat?
well, no, I'm just saying, like, it comes down to the playoff performance. If he gets to the playoffs and losing the first round again, people are going to be asking questions about whether he can win a playoff game or whether they should bring in somebody else. So I could see the Packers moving off of him if something doesn't go well. Another one, I'll give you a big name. What about Bill Belichick?
Oh no, no,
What
no,
if
no.
what if Robert
No,
Kraft?
no, 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 no.
Robert Kraft said he's disappointed the Patriots have not won a playoff game in, was it 3 years?
In 3 years.
So if they don't make the playoffs this year, and that's a tough division now. They're probably the second best team. If they don't make the playoffs, like, what's Kraft going to do? I'm not saying they fire Bill Belichick, but there could be some drama there. It'd be very interesting. And then
he said something like he's high on Mac Jones and all that.
Yeah. I mean, it could be that if he's high on Mac Jones, he could say, I want an offensive guy brought in to coach this team. And
yeah, Bill Belichick's more defensive oriented.
Yeah. So just keep your eye out. Like, keep your eye on the Patriots this year and Robert Kraft. And then lastly, I have 2 more. I would say Pete Carroll, same situation. I mean, he's a Hall of Fame coach, but like, Seattle's going to be bad this year. And do you keep him? In Pete Carroll's case, the ownership, Paul Allen's sister, I forget her name now, I don't think she cares much. So in a way that helps Pete Carroll, because he's maybe in charge of that team, and he's not going to fire himself.
He's in charge of the team, but he could step down if he wanted to. But I do think that Pete Carroll could be the right coach to rebuild the Seahawks again.
Yeah. But he's also an older defensive guy. I don't know, and he's in a tough division. That is a tough division, and
the NFC West is still tough despite losing Russell Wilson. I mean, Trey Lance and the Niners are going to get better. I think the Rams are going to get better. I think the Cardinals are going to get better.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
another one final one. Ron Rivera.
Oh my God, no!
They have Carson Wentz now. If they don't get to the playoffs. And once again, like, it's an ownership issue. I don't think the problem is Ron Rivera, but
it's Daniel Snyder. That's not patient.
He could fire him at any point. Like, and if he trades for Carson Wentz, they don't get to the playoffs, I could see Snyder saying, "I want an offensive guy coming in here." So those are ones. I'm not saying they're on the hot seat. I'm just saying those are some interesting coaching situations to keep your eye on. Sometimes because of ownership.
But you're not saying Bill Belichick's going to get fired.
No, I would bet that he's not going to get fired. But I think Robert Kraft's comments were a little concerning. And
I could get that as a Patriots fan. I know that Robert Kraft is concerning because of that.
And if they are high on Mac Jones, if the owner likes Mac Jones, I could see him saying, look, it's time for new blood. We need an offensive-minded head coach for Mac Jones in here. Just throwing it out there.
That could happen. I could see that happening, but we'll see. Anyways, we'll talk more football on another day. We'll talk a little bit about basketball here, as the Los Angeles Lakers, they are officially eliminated for playoff contention, as the Spurs are now in the play-in tournament now. And next week, Matt, you and I cannot wait to make our playoff predictions on who is going to be winning it all this year. For the Lakers, if you look at this team is supposed to be a top 4 team in the Western Conference. And with Westbrook, with Carmelo Anthony, with LeBron James, Dwight Howard, this team's great on paper, but it is an old roster, and it has been a disappointing season for the Lakers.
Yep, and it's, you can, if you're an optimist, you'd say, well, if AD and LeBron can stay healthy, maybe they can make Westbrook fit in a little bit better, bring in some guys to help complement, their top 3 stars. But this looks like a really big mess that just is not going to be resolved quickly. I think that I think LeBron will stay a Laker. The fall guy is going to be Vogel. He'll be fired, and then they'll bring in. Looks like Quinn Snyder is who they're eyeing.
They might eye Quinn Snyder. I don't know. I think I would like the Lakers to not make a quick decision on a head coach. I want them to go through a thorough and exhaustive process for their next head coach. I'm not saying that. I'm not ready to say that yet. We're still in the regular season, but with that being said, here, I'm not saying that I'm not ready to say that yet. The Lakers have games to be played still. They got to play Golden State. They got to play OKC. They got to play Denver again. So,
today we get a few games to help clarify the playoff pecking order a little bit. And I see we got the Mavericks are playing, the Nets are playing, the Hawks are playing, Celtics at Bulls. That could be a big one. Suns Clippers.
Yeah, so I was saying that with this Lakers team, I even predicted that they were going to win the championship this year with that roster. But
oh wow,
but no, they were bad this year. They had moments that they should have beaten bad teams early in the season, and their schedule got tougher, and they regressed, and they have regressed. So teams that have made it in the Western Conference play-in are the Clippers, the Pelicans, and the Spurs. I think it's a foregone conclusion that Minnesota will be in the playoffs. I think either is a 6 or 7 seed.
Yeah, they should win tonight. I'm sorry, they don't play. I was looking at the Mavericks, and Minnesota doesn't play today. Sunday's the last regular season day. So, and when does the playoff the play-in game start? Is it Tuesday?
Yeah, next Tuesday. I mean, next week next week we're going to talk about who we like going all the way.
All right.
So, which I'm very excited about, but for the Lakers, you don't think that Quinn Snyder I would put Quinn Snyder on my list, but as head coaches, if Frank Vogel's fired, I'm not ready to make a list of head coaches that I want yet. When the Lakers parted ways with Luke Walton, Frank Vogel was the guy I wanted. And and he was a good I'm saying he's a great pro coach and all that. He's great. He has a great defensive mind, but I just think that his rotations are somewhat bad.
Yeah.
So are you saying that who's more of the fall guy, Pelinka or Vogel?
I think it'll be Vogel, although I think the Lakers organization, I don't know who's in charge. Like, I mean, is it Genie
or Pelinka?
Is it LeBron? Magic weighs in on stuff. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is weighing in on stuff. Like, I feel that Genie's in charge, but I think depending on the day of the week, she listens to someone different. Like, whether it's Pelinka or LeBron or Magic.
LeBron wanted all these old guys to come to the Lakers, and it's not turned out well.
Right. Yeah. It's just, I think
the thing with the Lakers is they don't have any young assets. They do not have any first-round picks. And there's going to be major questions on the Lakers this offseason.
Okay.
Which is kind of my thing here. Which is kind of what I'm curious about in this offseason. I think the Lakers will keep LeBron and AD and Westbrook, but they got to keep they just need to add youth. They need to add youth movement around those guys.
Yeah, LeBron, in a way, he's at the end of his career. It reminds me too of maybe when Kobe was at the end of his career. A lot of guys didn't want to come in and play with Kobe. They just kind of knew he's used goods, right? I mean, it's just you're at the end, and they still carry the weight of being the number one guy, yet they're expecting the younger guys with more potential to kind of change their game for Kobe or for LeBron, right? And it means that people don't want to come play for the Lakers in that regard, right? So we'll see. Like Westbrook did it because he's an old guy himself, and AD did it because he's a really good number two who needs like a strong leader, I think, to kind of guide the team. I don't think AD is the face of a franchise, but yeah, so he needs to. LeBron, I think, needs to make a decision, coming up here about what he wants for the last maybe 2 years of his career or so.
I want to see him win another championship, though. I think he can guide the Lakers to another championship, though. But I think that there's things to me that need to be changed.
Yeah.
So, anyways, let's kind of break down the playoff picture. Let's start with the tough Eastern Conference. Miami, number 1. Boston has dropped down to number 2 with Milwaukee 3, Philly 4th. Toronto moved from 7 to 5. Chicago dropped significantly, but I think the Bulls are going to be a great basketball team, but they played good but they're not playing great at the right time, but they played really good basket. They're 4-6 in their last 10 games, and Cleveland, I think they're going to be good, but does Brooklyn even want to play them? That's kind of the question. They might want to get home court advantage in that game if I were them, because I still think that Brooklyn will host that play-in game, and then the Hawks and the Hornets are going to be going head-to-head for the 9th and 10th spot. So basically, if you look at the play-in tournament, the standings in the Eastern Conference, the play-in game to watch is the Hawks and the Hornets.
Yeah. We'll see what happens there. And it looks
because the reason why I say that, because Trae Young versus LaMelo Ball, that is going to be fun.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, the Wizards, the Knicks, the Pacers, and your Detroit Pistons, of course, and the Orlando Magic are out of playoff contention.
Yep. So are the Lakers, Kings, Trailblazers, Thunder, and Rockets.
So everybody is eliminated. So basically, there are questions to be talked about here. And I'm going to ask you a fair question here. Be honest here. So who has a brighter future out of these non-playoff teams? Is it the Lakers or is it the Pistons?
That's interesting. I was just talking with my friends about this yesterday. My friends who I know from Detroit, and my friend Kevin's a Laker fan, even though he's from Saginaw, Michigan. But there was some debate. I feel that LeBron came to LA and he won a title. Teams will take a title. I think there's 11 NBA teams that have never won an NBA title. So, like, you win a title, that's fantastic, right? So you can't take anything away from that. But going forward, I have to say I'd rather be in the Pistons position. You got some young guys. You're going to get another good draft pick this year. Dwayne Casey's a good coach. I think the GM and Casey are both on the same page. Whereas the Lakers, I think there's some organizational issues. And I think also, for their championship that they won, it was under strange circumstances. They were all in the bubble in Orlando. It could favor a team, an older, experienced team like the Lakers, because the season, there weren't as many games in the season, right? So there were some things that kind of went their way. But I think at this point forward, I personally think I'm not optimistic about the Lakers. I think they're in a pretty big mess.
Yeah, it kind of feels like the Lakers are in a big mess since the Jim Buss days.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of starting to not get happy with them. But I kind of think that if you look at the Eastern Conference, who I think more likely is going to get fired at the end of the season, Frank Vogel, I think for sure. And I also want to throw in Tom Thibodeau of the Knicks.
Oh, yeah. I think so, too. I agree.
I like Thibodeau. He's a great coach, but is he right for the Knicks? I think Leon Rose is very impatient.
Yeah.
And I think James Dolan. I mentioned to you many times that James Dolan is not a patient man either.
Yeah, he's another bad owner.
Because James Dolan That's why superstars do not want to play for the New York Knicks.
Yep.
It's because of James Dolan, who doesn't know how to bring a winning product, and he doesn't even attract superstars to the Big Apple.
Right.
And
And
New
that's a shame
York's
because it's New York. People should want to go play there at Madison Square Garden, and yeah, but just they know the organization.
Everybody's wanting to play for Brooklyn because of KD.
Yep.
And I think Brooklyn will be a good team next year, though. So, anyways, who do you think to you is your early favorite to win the championship? Is it, here's three teams. It comes down to three teams. Is it the Suns, the Miami Heat, Bucks, or the Celtics? Who do you favor right now?
Or the Sixers, maybe.
As a 4 seed?
Yeah.
If they can play defense, yes, because James Harden cannot play defense.
Right. Well, they're a 4 seed right now, but they're in a 3-way tie for the 2 seed with the Celtics and Bucks. They could still move up a little bit, but yeah, I think right now I would take Phoenix.
Yeah, I think losing to Milwaukee was kind of unfortunate, but I want to see Phoenix win another championship. No, I want to see Chris Paul win a ring. That's the important thing, because I think the Phoenix Suns, they're a great basketball team. Even though that they have Chris Paul, they're building the young nucleus around Chris Paul, making it easier for him.
Yeah, I think this year it's Phoenix's year. I think they go back. I want to say they'll play Milwaukee again. It'll be a repeat, and they'll beat Milwaukee this time. But, it could be the Sixers could maybe get it together and make a little run here. All those teams at the top of the East, so I don't trust except for Milwaukee. Milwaukee, like, so I'm going to go with Milwaukee because they won the championship last year. I know I trust their coaching and their players, as opposed to like Doc Rivers. He's underperformed with a lot of teams. The Heat have had some internal issues. The Celtics, I just don't know about. So I'll go with the Bucks losing to the Suns.
And why would you say that?
I think the Suns, I think it's just their year. I think they're the best team, top to bottom. I think Chris Paul finally gets his championship.
So, anyways, now that being said here, let's talk a little bit about baseball. So, opening day coming up here, and talk about a lot of questions here. We already made our divisional picks and all that, but let's talk about teams to be excited for. I mean, talk about the Dodgers. They're playing the Rockies this weekend in Colorado. And also, what's your thoughts on the Dodgers trading for Craig Kimbrell?
I think it helps the Dodgers a lot. They got rid of Pollock, but Pollock's good when he's not hurt, but he does have an injury issues. And I think they needed to shore up their bullpen more. So I think Kimbrell is a good addition to that.
Yeah, Craig Kimbrell is a very good addition to that. And I think that the Dodgers won that trade because you get a good back-end reliever in Craig Kimbrell. You got Gratterall, who could throw gas. Great. Blake Treinen's great in the back end. I think that if you get Dustin May healthy, I think the Dodgers rotation is going to be good. Is there a need for the Dodgers to address the rotation at the trade deadline? I don't think so, just because they know that they're going to get guys back.
Yeah.
Because I think Urias and Buehler, they're going to be great. I think I'm not sure about Andrew Heaney, but I think Andrew Heaney will be okay, I guess. But we'll see how that goes. I felt like that if Dustin May was healthy, I would have put Andrew Heaney in a long relief role.
Yeah.
With Tyler Anderson. But talk about the Dodgers this year. I mean, besides getting – I think the two big ticket pickups for the Dodgers was Craig Kimbrell and Freddie Freeman, both former Braves.
Yeah.
And they get to play on the same team. What's your thoughts on both Kimbrell and Freeman playing on the same team?
I think that they have a stacked roster. Just top to bottom. They had questions about the bullpen. They didn't want to pay Jansen, but Kimbrell I think helped solidify it with Treinen in the bullpen too. So Dodgers are ready to play.
They are. And then just today, your Detroit Tigers were supposed to play their final Grapefruit League game against the Baltimore Orioles, and that is not going to happen because it's postponed, canceled due to rain in the forecast.
Yep.
That was at Public Field at Lakeland, Florida. The Detroit Tigers are ready to begin their season with the Chicago White Sox, and you already are ready to make a point on your Detroit Tigers, ready to overtake the Chicago White Sox for the American League, for the AL Central crown.
Yep. I think they might be able to do it this year, so I'm going to bet on them to do it.
And why do you bet on them now? What makes you think that the Detroit Tigers are ready to win now?
I think that I literally think it comes down to, I mean, they've drafted well. They have some good prospects coming up this year. They've made some good free agent signings, and I trust Al Avila and AJ Hinch. I think that is a good front office on the same page, and that matters.
Al Avila used to be one of the worst executives in baseball.
Yeah,
when he took over,
he's gotten better. He's gotten pretty good.
The reason why I say that is because he took over for Dave Dombrowski, who the Tigers fired, and I felt like the Tigers should have never fired Dave Dombrowski.
Yeah, I think the issue with that was
the thing with Dave Dombrowski is he ruins farm systems.
Yeah,
that's what I don't like about him.
Yep, he mortgaged the farm system to win a championship, and they didn't quite win a championship. They got to the World Series, but didn't get it done. And then
the thing with Dave Dombrowski, I like that. I think Dave Dombrowski's a great executive. Don't get me wrong on him being a great executive, though, that knows how to build winning teams. He's just got to learn how to build up farm systems better.
Yeah, well, Dombrowski, too, I don't even think he needs to learn anything. I mean, he won a World Series with the Marlins. He won a World Series with the Red Sox. He almost did it with the Tigers. He got him to the championship. But so, that's just his style, is like, he's going to build you a really good team, but he's going to raid the farm system, and for the Tigers, when they saw the writing on the wall that the team, although they could make the playoffs and be division contenders, they weren't going to be in a position to maybe win the World Series. They said, we got to move off him. We got to find a guy who can rebuild the farm system.
And that's Al Avila.
Yep.
Did you remember when he traded his son, Alex?
Yeah.
What did you think of that?
Yeah. That would have been a difficult, awkward conversation at the dinner table.
Oh, my God. He should have kept his son, Alex, on the Tigers.
Yeah.
But Alex is retired.
Didn't Doc Rivers trade his son, too?
Yeah, that was awkward.
Yeah.
Kind of the same thing, but
yep.
I think the Detroit Tigers with Al Avila, like you said, they're going to be a great team, but there's a rookie to watch out for. I'm very excited to see him. I know you picked him as your AL Rookie of the Year, and Spencer Torkelson making the opening day roster, and he's going to be making his Major League debut on opening day. Let me tell you, I'm really excited about Spencer Torkelson, and he's going to be your everyday first baseman, and he's going to provide pop and power to your lineup.
Yeah, I think I saw he's going to be batting 8th in the order.
Should be higher than that, but I think he's going to work his way up in the lineup at season's end.
Yeah, I think they're just being caught. They're not wanting to put pressure on him right away, and so he can play at the back end of the order. And but yeah, I think by season end, he could be up there. We'll see where they end up putting him.
Talk about one of your breakout stars from last year, Akel Baddoo. I think Akel Baddoo is going to continue to get better and better and grow into a great player for the Tigers.
Yeah, I think so too.
So if you talk about the Tigers, what was your favorite offseason move? Was it Andrew Chafin or your opening day starter, Eduardo Rodriguez?
I'll say Eduardo Rodriguez. It's always good to get a big ace like that.
What's your expectations on Javier Baez in his first year with the Tigers? Are you really excited to see what he's going to bring to the table?
Yep. I think he's going to be a really good addition.
I think he will be, but you have a guy that I think is a Hall of Famer. I think that everybody thought that he would be traded because of how bad the Tigers were in recent years. I think he's ready to be on a contending team again in Detroit in Miguel Cabrera.
Yeah.
And I think Miguel Cabrera, he accomplished a lot last year when he hit 500 career home runs at age 38. He is still going.
Yep.
So, do you expect Cabrera to lead the Tigers in home runs, or do you think that would be more of Torkelson or Baez or Baду?
I think it'll be Baez.
Oh, that's a good choice.
Yeah.
I think, and also, what about the trade that you guys got to get Austin Meadows to the Detroit Tigers? How did you feel about him stealing them from the Rays?
Yeah, I think that was a really good pickup. People were really excited about that. So hopefully he can get that lineup even more powerful.
I think he brings a different dimension to the Detroit Tigers. I think that Miguel Cabrera is going to stay as DH. He's probably going to play some left field. You keep Baду in center, and I think Robbie Grossman's probably going to be playing a lot of right field now.
Yeah.
So, what about guys that were hurt and that you expect healthy, to have healthy seasons, such as uh, Michael Fulmer? Do you think he's a guy that you could trust in your rotation?
Yeah, I think so. My friend Ken always thought we should have traded him like a year or two ago and gotten pieces, but I think we're stuck with him now for the next year. So
I think Casey Mize should have been your opening day starter.
yeah, he probably should have been.
Because he's the guy that I think is going to be the ace of this Detroit Tigers starting staff for a long time. And you're going to build that rotation around him.
Yeah.
And what's the bullpen outlook for the Tigers?
I think it's all right. I haven't checked it that closely myself, actually.
I think Gregory Soto is going to be good. I like that guy.
Yeah.
Great. He has closers type stuff. And Joe Jimenez is an all-star reliever, too. I think those are your two best relievers, and I think that's about it for the Tigers.
Yeah.
So I think, and also talk about the Mets. Let's talk about some unfortunate bad news for the New York Mets. I'm still sticking to them winning the NL East. I think they're going to figure it out. You got the manager in Buck Showalter, but they're going to be without Jacob deGrom for like 2 months.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that sucks for them, but yeah, hopefully by June he's back. And
I still have high hopes for the Mets. I think that they're going to be managed well better than they are in the past.
Yeah.
Just because Luis Rojas didn't do a good enough job. I just think that Buck Showalter, being that veteran voice in the clubhouse, he stabilizes the Mets. And I'm not really highly concerned on the Mets. I still expect the Mets to figure it out.
Yeah.
Just because I think Buck Showalter is such a good manager. And I think that Buck Showalter can guide the Mets to a whole nother level, bring them championships. And I think that with DeGrom out and Scherzer battling a bit of a hamstring injury, I think the Mets still win the division in my book.
Yeah.
Just because what they did this offseason.
Yep.
How concerned should you be about the Mets without DeGrom, though? That's the question I want to know.
Yeah. I mean, because it's at the beginning of the season, I wouldn't be too concerned. 2 months is a bit of a long time, but he'll come back, and I think they'll be good to go after that.
The Yankees and Red Sox game has been postponed till tomorrow due to rain in the forecast, but we got to talk about both of these teams here. What a way to that's going to be a great game to begin. Great start to begin opening day with the Yankees and Red Sox, two old rivals going head to head. Both teams hate each other, but I'm going to say the Red Sox are the better team than the Yankees are.
Yeah, they're probably a little bit better going into the season right now. Yeah.
They are a little bit better, like you said, but do you think that Brian Cashman is on the hot seat with Aaron Boone?
Yeah, I think so. Like, Yankees just, their standards are pretty high, so you got to meet those high standards.
Meanwhile, let's talk a little hockey here. So the Colorado Avalanche here, they have clinched they're the first team to clinch a playoff berth, and they have 106 points. They're leading the Central Division. We already knew that they were going to win the Central Division, though.
Yeah, that's not expected.
And talk about teams in the Pacific. You got 3 Canadian teams that are playing really well right now in Edmonton and Calgary.
Yeah, the Florida Panthers have also clinched.
Yeah, the Panthers have been unreal this year.
Yeah.
And then talk about your Detroit Red Wings. They're still alive, but they're way behind the Blue Jackets and the New York Islanders for that second wild card spot in the Eastern Conference. But do I think the Red Wings are going to get it? No.
Yeah, they're going to miss out again this year, but they've made good improvements.
Really good, like you said. I mean, you think that Steve Yzerman is doing a good job with this rebuild.
Yeah.
And how do you think? What do you think the goal is for the Red Wings next season?
Playoffs.
And do you think they can get there?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that the Kings have been great. I think the Kings are probably going to be making the playoffs again. I mean, it'll be great to have playoff hockey back in LA. But I'm probably not going to be watching that many playoff games in hockey just because I'll be focused more on baseball and all that. But I think that the Kings, could they win the cup? I could see it, but let's see how good Edmonton is, though.
Yeah, you got some good teams this year in hockey. You got Florida, Toronto, Tampa Bay, Carolina, the Rangers, Avalanche, Calgary. Those are all really good teams.
Good too.
Yeah.
And the Penguins are also good too with Sid the Kid. You cannot underestimate him. I think the Kings are resurging. I mean, this team was in a rebuild for the last 2 years, and they've been playing great hockey as of late. The Vegas Golden Knights have hit a cliff.
Yeah.
I don't know why, though. They were supposed to be really good.
Yeah.
I don't know what the downfall is with the Golden Knights.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I think they're going to get.
They've won 5 in a row, though.
Well, I think they're going to get in the playoffs. I think they're probably going to be one of the wild card teams with Nashville.
Yeah.
My question for you is, before we end this, with the Angels. So the Angels take on the Astros. And do I want the Angels to sweep the Astros in the regular season in this first series? As a Dodger fan, yes, because I do not like the Astros, and I'm kind of excited. I'm kind of thinking that this was a great choice for the Angels to start Shohei Ohtani on opening day.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on that?
I think the Angels, yeah, I'm rooting for a sweep too. So hopefully they do it.
And I think the Angels are going to win the division because their offense is going to be a lot better than people think. No. I'm saying that the offense is going to be great. I think that moving on from Justin Upton's good, because I think that Brandon Marsh gets a spot to be a starter. I think that's a good move there. I think you got to build that lineup around Mike Trout and Anthony Rendon. I think that Trout and Rendon will have to do with it. But I think the Angels made some solid additions to their pitching staff.
Uh-huh.
So do you see the Angels being better than they were last year with that roster?
Yes, I think they'll be better.
In what ways do you think? How do you think their pitching is going to be, though? That's the question I have for the Angels.
Has to be better. Yeah, it has to be better. That's for sure.
They got guys like Archie Bradley. They got Ryan Tapara, who I think is going to be really good. And I think I also think that Aaron Loop might be good too.
Uh-huh.
Anyways, Matt, we'll see you next week, and we'll make our predictions for the NBA playoffs.
Uh-huh.
And have a good day.
Looking forward to it.